Here is your complete Part 1 story. The entire story is finished in this single part as requested. A single dad saw a billionaire woman get stood up on a date. Then he asked, "Can we date instead?" The rain had already begun to fall over downtown Chicago when Michael Carter noticed the woman sitting alone near the restaurant window. Her expensive black dress, diamond earrings, and untouched glass of wine made her look like someone who belonged on the covers of business magazines. Yet tears were slowly running down her face while dozens of people walked past without noticing. At that moment, Michael was only trying to finish his evening shift delivering food before returning home to his 8-year-old daughter. He never imagined that one simple question would completely change both of their lives. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one small act can change someone's entire future, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories. Michael Carter was 38 years old and had been raising his daughter Sophie alone for nearly 6 years. His wife had passed away after a long illness, leaving him with medical debts, a small apartment on the south side of Chicago, and a little girl who still slept with her mother's photograph beside her bed. Every morning Michael woke before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, walked Sophie to school, worked at an auto repair shop during the day, and delivered meals in the evenings. His life had become a routine of responsibilities, bills, and quiet loneliness. He had stopped believing that happiness still waited for him somewhere. That rainy evening he entered an upscale restaurant to deliver an order. The dining room was nearly empty except for a woman sitting alone at a table meant for two. The candles had nearly burned out. 2 plates sat untouched. Every few minutes she checked her phone. The waiter approached her again with a gentle expression. Michael overheard him quietly saying that the restaurant would be closing soon. The woman nodded but never moved. Michael later learned her name was Victoria Hayes, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. She owned technology companies, real estate businesses, and investment firms worth billions of dollars. Her face appeared regularly on financial magazines. But none of that mattered at that moment. She simply looked heartbroken. After delivering the food, Michael walked outside and stood under the awning. He could have gone home. Sophie would be waiting. Yet something about the woman sitting alone reminded him of the nights after his wife died, when he sat in empty rooms wondering if anyone noticed his pain. 20 minutes later Victoria finally stepped outside. The rain had become heavier. Her expensive heels splashed into puddles while she tried to hide her tears. Michael surprised himself. He stepped forward and said that this might sound strange, but since her date clearly was not coming, perhaps they could have dinner together instead. Victoria looked shocked. She saw a man wearing a delivery jacket, soaked from the rain, holding a worn bicycle helmet under one arm. His clothes were ordinary. His hands showed years of physical work. Yet his eyes carried something she had not seen in years. Honesty. She asked why he would ask a stranger out. Michael admitted that nobody should cry alone in the rain. For the first time that evening, Victoria smiled. They entered a nearby diner because Michael admitted he could never afford the restaurant she had chosen. Victoria surprisingly agreed. She removed her expensive earrings and placed them inside her purse as if she wanted to leave her billionaire identity behind for one evening. They talked for hours. Michael spoke about Sophie, his wife's passing, and the struggles of raising a child alone. Victoria spoke about her childhood in Boston, her demanding business empire, and the loneliness that came with success. The man who had stood her up was another wealthy businessman who had only wanted her connections and money. She had spent years surrounded by people who admired her wealth but never truly cared about her. Michael treated her like an ordinary woman. When the diner finally closed, neither wanted the evening to end. Over the following weeks they continued meeting. Sometimes they shared coffee. Sometimes they walked through city parks. Sometimes Victoria visited Michael's small apartment and helped Sophie with homework. Sophie quickly grew attached to her. For years the little girl had watched her father sacrifice everything. She had seen him skip meals so she could eat better food. She had heard him cry quietly after she had fallen asleep. Seeing him smile again felt like a miracle. But not everyone approved. The media soon discovered the relationship. Newspapers called Michael a gold digger. Television commentators mocked him. Social media accused him of chasing Victoria's money. Some of Victoria's business partners demanded that she end the relationship because it damaged her image. Michael became embarrassed. He stopped answering her calls. He believed that perhaps everyone was right. Maybe their worlds were simply too different. One evening Victoria arrived outside his apartment building. Snow was falling heavily. She found Michael sitting alone on the front steps. He confessed that he could never provide the life she deserved. Victoria quietly told him that she already owned private jets, luxury homes, and more money than she could spend in 10 lifetimes. What she had never found was someone who asked her to dinner because he saw her crying. She told him that he was the richest man she had ever met because he still possessed kindness. The following months became even more difficult. Victoria's company faced financial problems. Several investors withdrew support. News outlets blamed her relationship. Her board pressured her to step down. At the same time, Michael lost his job when the repair shop closed. Both of them suddenly faced uncertainty. Yet something remarkable happened. Instead of running away, Michael stood beside her. He helped organize community programs through her company. He encouraged employees during difficult meetings. He reminded Victoria that her worth was greater than her stock prices. For the first time in her life, someone loved her without expecting anything in return. One afternoon, Sophie came home from school carrying a family drawing assignment. She had drawn herself, her father, and Victoria standing together. At the top she had written 3 words. "My family." Victoria broke down crying. She realized that despite all her success, this little apartment contained more warmth than every mansion she owned. Months later, Victoria organized a charity event for struggling single parents in Chicago. Hundreds attended. Cameras surrounded the stage. Nobody expected what happened next. Instead of delivering a business speech, Victoria walked toward Michael. She explained to the audience that people often believe billionaires rescue ordinary people. But in her case, an ordinary single father had rescued her. She described the night she sat alone in the rain believing nobody cared. Then she turned toward Michael. In front of everyone, she asked if he would continue being her date for the rest of their lives. The entire room became silent. Michael looked at Sophie, who was crying in the front row. He said yes. If this story has touched your heart so far, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who still believes that love can appear when we least expect it. And before we reach the ending, please comment below, kindness changes lives. 1 year later, Michael and Victoria married in a small ceremony beside Lake Michigan. There were no celebrities, no extravagant decorations, and no media invitations. Only family. Sophie walked beside Victoria holding flowers. Michael looked at the woman who once sat alone in a restaurant waiting for someone who never came. Sometimes life closes one door so quietly that we fail to hear another one opening. Victoria lost a date but found a family. Michael lost hope but found love. And Sophie, a little girl who had already experienced too much loss, finally gained the mother figure she had always prayed for. As the sun set over the lake, Michael remembered the question that had changed everything. Can we date instead? 4 simple words. 4 words that prove that kindness often arrives unexpectedly, and sometimes the people who seem to have everything are simply waiting for someone brave enough to sit beside them. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach more people who may need hope today. Because sometimes the richest people are not those who own billions. They are the people who notice someone crying in the rain and choose to stay.